Awakening with Brahma Kumaris.
Welcome to Awakening with Brahma Kumari. In the last couple of sessions, we've dealt very clearly with the idea of who I am and who God is, and what an important role God can play in our life. Today, in this particular topic, we will deal deeply with the different relationships that we can have with this Supreme Being. Once again, in our studios, we have Sister Jayanti, the European Director of the Brahma Kumari. A very special welcome to you, Sister Jayanti.
Hello, Om Shanti.
Sister Jayanti, it's been very enlightening to know that I'm not alone, a soul in this world, and that all our other souls too on their own, but to know that there is a parent, a supreme soul that looks upon us, that watches us, that cares for us, and that hears us. This relationship tends to create a deep, profound impact in a person's daily life. But there are those who do not seem to need God. And there are those who, like myself, perhaps many others, who feel, I need God in my daily life. Is it okay to need Him?
I think that each person has a different personality and different needs. And so I personally need God in my life. And God is available for me. And I'm very, very happy with that. And it makes me very comfortable to know that not only do I need God, but God is able to give me whatever it is I need, even before I can articulate it. You know, sometimes in the morning I have a particular experience and I feel that God has really given me a lot of love, particularly that day. And through the day, there are certain situations that arise, and I think, well, I'm very grateful that God gave me the experience of that love, so I have the capacity to deal with whatever it is I'm dealing with. So it was like the mother knows before the child knows what the child needs, and the mother provides that, knowing that this is what the child is going to need. So that's a fact in my life. And then you are right, there are some who say, we don't need God. And I would say, that's fine, it's okay. When they're ready, if they're ready, when they want, God is available.
Beautiful. Human beings tend to be very needy. We need each other's company, we need each other's love. We are needed. We like to feel needed too. Is it good to be so dependable on God? I know He is dependable, we know He is available. But to what extent can I totally depend on God, and to what extent can I actually rely on my own 2 feet?
It's a very interesting balance that you've spoken of, in the sense that if I look at a biological parent, the biological parent will prepare the child so that the child can be independent and not need the parent at some point in time, however long that may be. And if the child is 25 years old and still can't make up a cup of tea, then you'd say, well, the mother hasn't quite done the job that she should have done. There's something not quite right here. In the same way, I think that our relationship with God is a little bit the same. That God gives to us all the powers that are within God, the power of love, the power of peace, the power of truth, so that we can then be independent in the sense that we use these powers in our own life to be able to enjoy harmonious relationships with everyone around us, so that it's not a question of desperation in which I cry out to God and say, help, please.
I need you. Yeah.
But God has given me everything and has prepared me so that then I can say, thank you, it's been a good day. And I've enjoyed your company and your presence, but it's not a situation of desperation.
For that to happen, we need such a deep, close relationship with God, intimate relationship, because He is the only one that knows the weight of my heart, the lightness of my feeling, the heaviness of everything else that goes in my life. How do I bring about different relationships for the different needs that I have? For example, I don't always need a friend. At one point, I might need a parent rather than a friend. But that there are some cases that I do feel alone, and yet I want the companionship of God. How do I bring about? How do I invoke? What do I tell Him if I want Him to be a companion in this particular trip that I am taking?
I personally start the day with a relationship with God as a parent. So in my first meditation in the morning, it's like a child beginning the day by saying good morning to the parents. And when the child awakens, if the parents aren't around, there's a deep, deep sense of insecurity and abandonment. But when the child wakes up and the parents are there to greet the child with love, the child feels that comfort. In the same way, in my first meditation, I have that sense of God as my mother and my father. In my next phase, I like to think of God as my teacher, the one who's educating me, the one who's teaching me, so that then I understand spiritual knowledge more and more, and I'm able to have that wisdom and that truth in my life. Through the day, I need a friend. Someone I can connect with, someone I can check with, someone I can just bounce ideas off. And so as ideas come to me, thoughts come to me about situations, wait a moment, instead of taking my mobile telephone,
Yeah, call a friend.
I connect. Instead of calling a friend here, I call that friend. And I just check, is this the right way to go about things? And there'll be a response. And so God can be my friend. And God will know what it is I'm going through. And God will help me move along in that. Sometimes I need a guide. I need very clear, precise directions. I don't know what lies ahead, but He does. And so He knows the way to get me to my destination. And so God can be my friend.
If I like that word you just used, God as a guide, which means I can look upon God and verify things before I take a decision on an action.
That's actually the best way to do it.
To verify.
In the sense that, if there's a really important decision to make, people will very often take a moment to be in silence. People of wisdom do this in a natural way. They won't give you an instant answer. They won't rush into things. They'll take a moment and they'll go inside. And maybe what they're doing is just connecting with God, and they're checking with God. And so yes, in my own life, if there's a decision I need to make, I will look at things from my own capacity. But if I let myself pause for a moment, be still, connect, and just ask myself the question, what is it that you want? I will surely get an answer, and I'll be guided in the right way. Normally we say, what is it I want?
Yes.
Or sometimes we say, well, what is it you want? But we don't often pause and say, what is it you want? And if I'm letting myself take guidance from above, surely it'll be absolutely the right thing to be done. God understands the holistic view of everything. I know a little bit. You might know another little bit. But the one who's the detached observer and can see the entire drama and the whole stage and whatever it is that's going on is that one. And so taking guidance from the supreme guide, the supreme director of the drama, is always going to ensure that there's safety in whatever it is I do.
When we look at Godmen, people of God, we look at their faces and we see the image of God, we see the feeling, the vibrations of their purity, of their holiness. There's a beautiful saying that I remember reading somewhere. God had to become humans. God had to become humans so that humans can become God. Is there ever a possibility through our process of meditation that we can become God-like. We can never become God because a child can never be a father, I understand that. But can we become God-like?
Yes, definitely, in the sense that the scriptures tell us that we were created in the image of God. So just as God has infinite love, I might not be able to have infinite love, but certainly my heart can expand much more than the stage it's at today, so that it's able to be open and big and generous and accommodating, so that yes, I can accept everybody with love. That's possible.
Accept people as they are.
That's right. And people of many varieties as they are, because there's so much variety that we come across today in the world. You know, the world is a mixture of everything today. We're not isolated anymore, but it's like the whole of the human family comes together in any one big metropolitan city now. And so to be able to really have a big heart and love each one and see the beauty in the diversity, that's important. God is absolute truth. And am I able to get to the point where there is absolute truth? Well, I don't know. But certainly what I can do is to start removing whatever I understand as being false and illusion and artificial, because sometimes we know that these things are artificial supports, but we still hang on to them. But now to be able to take that power and start ridding myself of those supports so that I can become free and strong and start having a glimpse of truth and start moving towards the truth. I think the purpose of Rajyoga, yoga means union, and Raja, the sovereign, the ruler, the master, the highest. So it has different meanings, and one interpretation of this is that it's that yoga which is with the highest, and it's that yoga which makes me a sovereign, the master of myself, to have that leadership of the self and be able to manage myself. When I connect with God, God's influence is able to work on me and transform me and lift me to my own highest potential.
So this connection that I have within myself for God can lead me to the art of self-mastery?
Absolutely. That is what Rajyoga is about. Raja, the king, the ruler. And so, as I said, one is the connection with the highest. The second is the highest amongst all the different types of yogas. And the third is to be the master of the self. I'll give you an example. Today, I know that if I watch violent movies, it's going to leave me with nightmares at night. I'm sure that's true. And it's going to continue to have distorted images of violence in my mind that won't enable me to stay stable and very peaceful. But yet, when I switch on the TV and there's something like that going on, I can't switch it off. I'm not the master of my senses and say, this is not useful for me. I am not going to watch this anymore. And to have that courage to say, off. Or where I know that there's a whole mass of advertisements and they're all saying, buy this, go here, eat this, do this. I can just switch off. I don't need to see all of that.
You seem to be talking about self-mastery. It's as if mastering or master over your sense organs.
That's
Is that in that connection you're talking? Now, if that were to begin in the process of Rajyoga meditation, if that was to begin, that art of self-mastery is coming in, which of the sense organs would be the first one that would change? Is it that my ears now will not pick up gossip? Is it that my eyes will now no longer see? What's the beginning signs that I am actually mastering a certain sense organ?
Maybe the first step is what I eat and drink.
Really?
Because the first step of, our ears are so used to picking up sounds of praise. If somebody is mentioning my name and it's in a positive way, I pick it up.
Happy.
And if somebody is saying things that are not so good, I also pick it up. But then, of course, my feelings towards that individual changes. I'm not able to maintain stability and calmness within myself and see them with that respect. My attitude changes dramatically.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing is very subtle. What I'm seeing, that's really maybe
deep.
not such an easy thing to do, because everything we see triggers memories. It triggers images, and it's maybe a long way to go. But what I eat, what I drink, that's not such a difficult thing, in the sense that, a doctor tells you, you mustn't eat this anymore. It's dangerous for your health. There was a person I knew who was told the only two things you can eat are bread and bananas. He had cancer of the colon, and at that time, this is like 20 years ago, and maybe there's new treatments available. But he was told this, and he was having regular therapy, regular treatment, but he maintained this diet of just bread and bananas, no jam, no butter, nothing else, for years and years and years and years, because he knew that this is what he had to do to survive. And so when I know that there's something that's going to be benefiting me in terms of bringing calmness and stability to my mind, it's not such a difficult thing to give up other things that are going to create a disturbance. So a very easy thing that we notice in people is that their diet very quickly changes. They're able to give up things like alcohol very easily. It doesn't take a huge amount of effort. So that mastery seems to be the first one that comes.
I want to go back to the idea of God, which is one of my favorite topics. From this conversation and this dialogue for the past few sessions that I've had with you, you can't help but turn and understand that it is no longer important or necessary to fear God, that it's not just God-fearing, you become God-loving.
A very, very important difference. In certain traditions, there's an image of God,
Punitive.
that's right, an angry God, a
Yes.
God that's punitive.
The wrath of gods, yeah.
That's right. And I don't see God in that way at all, because the other side is the image that we've had of God as one with unconditional love. And even as I said to you a few days ago, a biological mother is able to forgive her child because she'll say, it's okay. The child is learning, the child is growing, and so there will be mistakes that are made. And I think that the Supreme Mother has a big, big heart and is able to forgive us. And God is able to give us another chance. How many chances? I don't think that I can put a limit on it and say 5 times, 9 times, 10 times. But I do know that God is unlimited, and so God's heart is unlimited.
When God forgives me, because there are certain things that I can do that I can never forgive myself for. And then you turn to this divine creator, God, and ask for his forgiveness. When he forgives me, I somehow feel lighter and able to let go and better and actually become a better person myself. Just this healing, I find it very healing to know that he can forgive, and I feel that forgiveness. And it is that forgiveness, non-judgmental part of God as that loving being that allows me to move forward.
You're absolutely right. God forgives me so that then I can take a step forward and move ahead. If God were to hold my sins, my mistakes against me,
This is the part that you hold on yourself.
this is my block.
Yes.
This is my block. God can forgive and forget,
Yes.
but can I forgive and forget?
That's a good
And
question.
so I also have to be able to accept God's love and forgiveness and say, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to move on. And when I can feel God forgiving me then I can say, there's a next step, there's a future ahead. Now what's the next chapter?
It's wonderful to know about these ideas of this loving Father. One last aspect. There are many people who are very comfortable without the need to know God. They are quite a philanthropist themselves. They do good, they believe in charitable acts, and they seem to be very comfortable knowing that the reward of their future births or future life very much depend on this, and this is why they do them. So they don't need to fit God into their daily life. Is that all right?
I really feel that every soul is individual, and every soul has to come to its own highest level. And if here's a soul who says, I don't need God in my life, I have to be able to respect them. And if, as you say, they are doing good, well, that's wonderful. Let me be able to appreciate that. Yes, I also see that they're not perfect, because although there is goodness in them, there are also other factors that I would feel need to be transformed.
Yes.
But it's okay, because if they're comfortable with their particular concept of life, their cosmology, then I need to be able to respect them and not say they should or they should not. I have absolutely no authority to pass judgment on them. And I really say this from my heart, because I've had to work at this, because within my own family circle, there are some people who give their time and energy out of the goodness of their heart to help other people. And they feel that that's more important than sitting and meditating. And I've had to accept that this is where they're at and be able to respect them for that. And so, yes, it's a lesson I've learned very deeply, that it's okay, it's fine. I don't need to pass judgment on anyone.
That is really beautiful and comforting, to allow and accept people to believe what they need to believe to become a better person at the end of the day. Sister Jayanti, I would like to invite you to explore into deeper relationships with God, if you can do us some guided meditation.
Sitting quietly, I take the time to connect with myself, coming to that point of peace that I am. And in this natural state of peace, I can feel the sacred presence of the divine. I connect with the source of light, of love, of truth, and a memory stirs within me. I become aware that this being, the highest of all, the Supreme, is also my nearest and my dearest, my eternal parent. I had thought that God was very far away, and now I discover that God is so near and so easy to access. I now know how elevated I truly am. I have been created in the image of my Supreme Mother and Father, just as my mother has a heart that's able to forgive me and forget my past and just simply love me and help me move forward. my mother cleans my heart and allows it to grow so that it can be open and big and generous, so that I too can respect each one. My Father fills me with unlimited happiness and reminds me that His property belongs to me. And as I accept this inheritance, the sorrows of the past dissolve and happiness overflows. And I understand this is what I need to do for others, to be able to take away their pain, their sorrow, and share happiness with them. I have to share the property that my Supreme Father has given me. I enjoy each of my relationships with the Divine so that I can become complete and whole. And having been healed and made whole, my thoughts return to the physical dimension, and I play the role that I need to play here but I keep this connection with the Supreme. Om Shanti.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Om Shanti Om. I'm a peaceful soul. Om Shanti Om. I'm a peaceful soul. Ye Dwani Mangal Dwani hai. Om Shanti Om. This sound is a sacred sound. Om Shanti.